What's up, everybody? The recap show. I hope everybody's in a good mood as I am. We're going to have a few fantasy championships. There'll probably be a loss or two here, but oh man, what a week. What a week 17. We had some fantastic games and one that just ended in a brutal fucking way. But Adam, baby, how you doing, man? How's your matchups going? You going to win?
I'm doing well. One, I am very likely to lose. The other one is about as tight as it gets, Mike. Cody and I are projected 0.17 difference here. He's got a trio of Bengals going. He's got Burrow, Chase, and Mixon. I still got Deontay. I basically already have all my points in the bag, though. So he needs those Bengal trio to really go off. And they're set up tomorrow to break my heart, Mike. So we'll see, you know. How about you?
Damn, man, that lineup league versus K-Bach, long-time listener here, it's been going back and forth all day. Right now, the projection's off by like 0.5. It's just
it's right there.
It's a drag it out, piss pound it. I gaped Liebert's ass in one league, so that one's already done and over with. Two other leagues, looks like I'm definitely going to win. And then the other one, I definitely got one I think I'm going to lose. And then the other one, who the hell knows, man? It's just kind of – it's not looking good. But if I could walk away with 4 titles this year, I'd be pretty happy, man. Even if I get 3, I think I'll be stoked. But
yeah. Yep.
Yikes. What a week. But, 3 titles out of 30 leagues, I know it don't sound like a lot, but they pay out enough to pay for my fantasy addiction, right? As long as I break even or get pretty close every year, I keep that Dynasty addiction rolling, baby.
No question, man. I mean, you win – typically if you win one league, you can cover several. You win 3 leagues, you can cover a whole boatload of leagues you've been in, man.
That's the fun. That's the fun that we have, man. Oh man, Justin Jefferson, number 1 sell candidate. I don't know about that. I don't know about that, man. I mean, is it the Kirk Cousins thing?
I mean, I don't know, man. It's bad, right? It's just I think it is Kirk Cousins, right?
I mean, what if Jamar Chase comes out and has a bad week, in week 17? Are people going to be say he's a sell candidate too? You know what I mean?
No, because he's got Burrow there, right? And people aren't ready to. I think people are really starting to lose their shit about Kirk Cousins, man. Because when he has bad games, everybody remembers why Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins and not the other guys, the elites here, the Burrow types. Because he has stinkers like this, man. This one was horrible. He didn't do anything all game.
I think it's just the sour taste of week 17, him doing fuck all, and you being disappointed, absolutely just brutalized by him. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that game got out of hand quickly. Green Bay put it to him. I mean, Jair Alexander told you heading into the week what was about to happen, right? And Adam, if you can think way back to week 1, long time ago, back to week 1, our first recap show we did, that was one of the things we talked about. Was just Green Bay never made the adjustment on Justin Jefferson. He just went buck wild, and they never had Jair follow him.
Right.
They just stayed in the same bullshit zone coverage and got gashed over and over and over again, and Green Bay was like, not today.
Right.
Not today. Playoffs are definitely on the line now. I mean, every game is important in the NFL, but this one's especially important for Green Bay, and they took it to the Vikings, man. They absolutely took it to them. Pretty brutal loss for Minnesota, and it's gonna, like Alex said, man, it's gonna leave a sour taste in people's mouths. Actually, I'm kind of happy, man. If people are gonna have this sour taste about Justin Jefferson in their mouths, we can buy him. Go out and buy him.
Yeah, he shouldn't be on anyone's block. I mean, the whole team though, Mike. I mean, for those of you, I don't know that Dalvin was the reason you made it, but if you were relying on him, he didn't really do much for you.
Yeah,
So
that guy hadn't done fuck all year.
I,
He was on that Mike Evans milk carton for the longest time, but one of them got off today. The other one's still on there.
Yeah, we found Mike Evans. The milk cartons are all down. Cook's season as a whole, I would say, like, I don't know that he's a sell candidate because I don't know what he cost anymore, and you're probably not going to get much back. But Dalvin Cook,
I bet he's one of those guys. Like, I think he'll have a job somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's in Minnesota, they keep him, they move on from him. I don't know what the contract situation is. I mean, that's something for Tuesday, we can talk about. But either way, like, if people are going to lose it on him, I mean, that's at least a body that we've seen do something. That's, 27, 28 years old?
Yeah.
Like, if I could buy for a second, not an early one, but if I could buy for a second, I'll have a shit ton of Dalvin Cook, man. I'll just throw him in there.
If you can buy for a second, I'm buying. Well, I think there's a lot of running backs, though, Mike, that are going to be in this range of I'll buy for a second, and that's why there are a lot of reasons why I actually now more than ever, like, people always talk about how, I don't want these late seconds. Let me get rid of them now. Well, when they really hit peak value and there's actually people in the second that you're talking about, now you can move some of these picks, even on contenders, for the right type of running back when somebody's panicked. Because Dalvin Cook, Mike, does have an out in the contract. I don't know if they're going to get rid of him, but they could get out of him this year. He goes to a new landing spot.
That's fair.
People might freak out. Yep. There could be a buy window for him. So
I don't hate him. I don't think you can get a first out of him anymore. I think that ship has long sailed. You might convince somebody to give you an early second if you want to re-roll them, which, I think about. And kind of like you said, there's going to be a fuck ton of people in that buy for a second range. The other side of the ball, man, Aaron Rodgers just kind of did okay. I mean, he had a rushing touchdown, which kind of buoyed him up, gave him a little bit of points. But for the most part, he was kind of disappointing for you. We shat on Aaron Jones, like, kind of uncertain about whether or not to play Aaron Jones. He did all right, man. 100 yards.
He did real good.
Got a catch. Couple catches. 2 catches, 2 yards, literally.
Yep.
No touchdowns, though, so, I mean, it's not going to be a game-breaking week, but kind of a nice floor. Nice floor play. If you ended up going with him, you didn't get burned too bad. A.J. Dillon, another week, another touchdown. A.J. Dillon's just kind of a tank. So it was good if you rolled that hot streak out. You didn't get disappointed too bad. It wasn't looking good for a little bit, but when he pounded that one in the end zone, you're like, all right, we feel okay. A.J. Dillon won't be on the hate list. He's not the reason I'm going to lose this week.
Right. Yeah, Aaron Jones, when we see him get the work, we want him. And Mike and I talked about this, how the problem is that the snap share and the work has been inconsistent. That's the reason we weren't high on him. If we know he's going to get 14 touches and they're going to be in a positive game script, I mean, we love Aaron Jones. But he's great. I think the thing with A.J. Dillon is, like, especially this as it's later in the year, man, he when he gets full head of steam, when he's coming downhill at you, like, it's just, he's a battering ram. And I think that's good for them later in the year. But for him, like, you need touchdowns in fantasy typically with A.J. Dillon. We have seen him really come on late, but I don't know, man. If A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones are still splitting it again next year, could be a lot of similar, hype for Dillon, but it goes nowhere again.
I'm with you, man. We'll get to the thumbnail here quickly, but we got to talk about the number 1 and 2 scorers on the week, man. And these guys, if you're in a championship and had one of them, both of them, you had the stack. Congratulations on your title. Congratulations on your title, Mike Evans, Tom Brady, the GOAT. There was some disrespectful shit this morning on the Start Sit show, Adam. Start Sit show, Mike White, Geno Smith, or Tom Brady. Who you starting? And it was almost universal, except for one guy who said, y'all fucking crazy. You start Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
Yeah.
And wow.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. This is the thing with Evans, especially. Now, Brady, Brady hasn't done shit really either. He's been okay, but he hasn't really had games like this. Evans hasn't done anything like this since week 4.
No.
So,
Adam, I had to go look because somebody put it on Twitter, like, man, it's good to see Mike Evans play this well. I hope people still keep disrespecting him next year. I'm going to draft him. He's one of the most consistent wide receivers. I had to pull it up, man. He had, like, as far as best ball terms, he had like 4 weeks all year, and then this would be week number 5. Out of the entire fucking season, he would have been startable for you in best ball. That's not very consistent to me, and I have a lot of Mike Evans, and a lot of those teams lost last week because Mike Evans was part of the fucking problem. So,
well, and that's the thing. Like, okay, if you started Mike Evans, great for you because he obviously is going to win you a week. You would imagine he should. I'm pretty sure, Mike, in the week I lost, I went up against Mike Evans. He goes for 60. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, you have to have such a good team to counterbat that. But when you look at this, man, like, look at since the bye, Mike. Like, wide receiver 75, wide receiver 43, wide receiver 50, wide receiver 29, wide receiver 55. I mean, if you saw this game coming because Carolina's D was that bad, like Eric said he wanted to start him in a bunch of places. Good on you. But for me, like my process, a guy who has not even sniffed wide receiver 2 since the bye, there's just guys I wanted to play ahead of him. But Mike Evans showed just still that 200-yard, crazy huge game plus a touchdown exists. He balled out today, man. He balled out today.
He did. And let's talk a little bit about the 75-year-old man throwing him the football.
Yeah, Brady. Tom Brady,
3
man.
touchdowns. Apparently still good at football, man.
Yeah, he had a great game. Godwin played well, too. And this is the other thing.
Yeah, Godwin had a great game.
You haven't seen Brady play like this. So it was hard. You basically he couldn't support both these guys. But today, man, Brady was he the quarterback one on the week, I'd imagine?
By far and away, yeah.
Dimes was close, but not as good as Brady, right?
Brady a full 1.5 ahead of him.
Yep, there you go. So, yeah, I mean, he had 432 yards passing, 3 tutties. Even got in on the ground, Mike, at the little goal line. That was what sealed it for him, right? The Brady plunge that he always has.
Yeah, the Brady plunge. It was good to see. Chris Godwin, like you said, both of them, him and Evans were firing. Evans got the long touchdowns, so that buoyed him up. The answer to Leonard Fournette or Rachaad White this week was neither. They both weren't anything. So
right.
Move on from that. On the other side, D'Onta Foreman. That's why we didn't want to start D'Onta Foreman. This is exactly why.
Right.
Sammy Darnold actually had a fairly decent game. Now, he had a couple turnovers that you don't like, but he played well. I mean, 341 yards, 3 touchdowns, and they were in it the entire game, and they were up for a while.
Right.
Carrying the lead. DJ Moore, Sam Darnold, that connection is still strong. So we'll kind of see how the offseason plays out, whether or not Sam Darnold comes back, whether Carolina can move DJ Moore at some point or not. But Sam Darnold ain't the worst thing for DJ Moore being the quarterback. He's far better than PJ Walker or Baker Mayfield was for DJ Moore this year.
There's no question about that statement there. With DJ Moore, obviously this was a great game. He was somebody that I think I wanted to start in a lot of places, but if there were people I sat DJ Moore for if it was
100%
required. Yeah. But this connection's strong. Honestly, like Sam Darnold, this is hard to imagine to say this, Mike. Sam Darnold is not the worst thing for DJ Moore. That's how bad it's been for DJ Moore. This is the other thing. Best ball darlings this week. Smith, right? 70 yards and a touchdown. Snuck into a lot of people's lineups in best ball.
Let's go.
Tommy Tremble. Shout out to Scott Connor, starting Tommy Tremble in a 2 tight end league. But D'Onta Foreman, this is the problem and the annoyance with D'Onta Foreman is positive game script. He could have a huge week, right? Massive. But if it's not like a really good game script for him and he isn't getting, well north of 10 touches, like you could be looking at absolute 0, which is what happened this week.
I feel that. All right, let's move on to the man of the week, the thumbnail.
Danny Dimes. You know what, man? I don't have the hologram for Danny Dimes. I never thought we'd have to make one, but that's why I had to get him with the shirt off on the thumbnail because Danny Dimes, man, run, Danny, run, Mike. This guy, and I know, you had your moment with Brady, so let me get my moment with Danny Dimes. The only one that said, "Yeah, start Danny Dimes." Aaron Rodgers, he hasn't done anything. Danny Dimes was just quarterback 9. Man, stop it. They're playing the Vikings. They were in a positive game script too. And listen, it's no dunk on Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was fine. He didn't do anything world beating. But Mike, Daniel Jones, I feel like, let me ask you this, because this is where I'm at right now, honestly. Daniel Jones, because Tua was at one point, I think, the most disrespected quarterback. But that far went away when people started valuing him inside the top 10 in my mind. Daniel Jones is the most disrespected quarterback, I think, in Dynasty right now. I can make a strong case. But I would agree. Yeah. But don't you think Daniel Jones has shown more upside than Goff has? Because he's had, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's had 6 top 10 weeks in multiple weeks inside the top 5.
That's true. I mean, Jared Goff's got a great offensive line. He's got great weapons. Daniel Jones has neither one of those things. He's got an okay offensive line. His only weapon is Saquon Barkley. God awful receiving core. We think Daniel Bellinger's good at football, but it's just because there's nobody else
There's
there.
nothing else there, right?
Kind of looks good at football, right? Yeah. But Daniel Jones, man, out there running 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. Another 2 through the air and 177 yards with throwing to nobody. And they absolutely mollywopped the piss out of the Colts. And they did it without Saquon doing anything.
Well, that's why I just put him up because, Mike, I think this is what's surprising about that game is you just assume when it's a game where Giants play well that Saquon's out here lighting people up, right?
Yeah, he's the reason, right?
That didn't happen this week. Listen, I'm not saying Daniel Dimes or Danny Dimes is this great NFL quarterback, but Mike, the Giants are going to be in the playoffs. He's playing well. It's not the sexiest thing. He only had 5 incompletions. He ran for 91. He had more than on the ground than Saquon and Breida. I mean, I just don't know. I know that there's never going to be this sexy allure about Danny Dimes, but it feels like he's forever in this boat where he's always acquirable. And I just don't know that should always be the case.
I think he's really approaching. Like, I thought I was pretty aggressive a few weeks ago when I updated my quarterback rankings on him. I thought I was being a little bit aggressive when I put him at 18. I think he needs to go. I think he needs to go higher, man. I think he's approaching top 15 pretty solidly quarterback. Now, that you hear that number and you go, holy shit! But let's also think about it. It's 12 guys, and then it's Trey Lance, and then it's a bunch of just.
I think that's a great point what you just made too, Mike, because people think, top 15, what are you talking about? Daniel Jones, stop. Well, here's the thing, right? When you take the picks and all that out of Keep Trade Cut and you go to top 15, Mike, like I think that's actually appropriate because right there you're going to be told like Kenny Pickett, where like Kenny Pickett, you're still projecting this youth upside because he's young and still has the first round DC, right? So you have him, you have Kirk Cousins who's older, but man, can kill it in your lineup, but also can kill you like this week in your lineup. And then you got Jared Goff. I think Mike, for me, Daniel Jones and Kenny Pickett need to be having a discussion neck and neck, and it's probably based on what you want to do. Like if I want to go win right now, maybe I go get Danny Dimes. If you are more of a year or two out, you want to roll with Pickett for the long play, I'm okay with it.
Well, let's transition to the other guy who's disrespected a lot.
Let's do it.
Do you know preseason ADP wise for Dynasty, Danny Dimes was around 30 pick and Jared Goff was around 31. So talk about incredible fucking or not round 31, but 30th overall quarterback, 31 overall quarterback. Both were 11th round draft picks. So wild value on Superflex.
Very wild, man.
Jared Goff, he's gonna finish right now. He's at QB 6 on the week. Another really good week for him. 255 yards, 3 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, our guy. Wish he would have got a little bit more work, right?
I know. But it was okay, right? It was. I think that's the other thing about Amon-Ra, that people are going to kind of always keep him out of the big mix because when he has the big weeks, people don't get as excited. But then when he has these type of weeks, people want to remember, 4 for 62. It's just okay. Well,
even though Dynasty wide receiver 1 just gave you a nothing burger in the championship, right?
What do you want from us? I mean, this is the wide receiver landscape. Like it's going to be a little bit volatile by the way they play.
Yes.
Let me say this, Mike. I did not see coming though in this game, and like this will be one where I take the L right on the face, especially with like Jamal Williams was trending so down, and I did not see him getting 22 touches, let alone crushing it with the touches. Even that being said, Mike, I didn't see him having that good of a game. And our boy, DeAndre Swift, coming out and having a great game, too. I mean,
after we dunked on him all morning,
I tried really hard to be honest and say there's a scenario where he can play well. I did, but it was hard for me to tell you to start him over a lot of people. I just couldn't do it,
I mean, he got his 15 touches. Finally.
I think that's the thing, though, Mike. It's so hard with him because you don't know what his workload's going to be. But DeAndre Swift only needs 13, 15 touches to absolutely be electric. And
I think we need to stop viewing him as this type of running back, when we think of like top 5 guys, Adam, like we kind of have this, they're going to get 60, 70% of the work, right? They're 3 down threats. I think if we stop viewing them in that mindset and start viewing them more like a Tony Pollard, 100%. I think everybody would be a lot happier, and you can appreciate him a lot more. Now, that does change his value, where we were talking about a guy that you had to pay multiple first for at the start of the year to now, do you want to pay one?
Right.
If you're talking like a late first for DeAndre Swift, I think we're going to have a conversation. I know we just did a podcast where I talked about doing this, but I think his talent level is still that I want to do that for him. He's not an Antonio Gibson. He's not a Cam Akers or a J.K. Dobbins like type where we have a lot of concerns about. But gone are the days of like locked in top 5 running back for me. I mean, he might crack top 10 for me after this class is all said and done. But if we just kind of view him as a Tony Pollard type, I think everybody would be a lot more happy and more appreciative of what he actually does.
Well, I think everybody else is around to that too, Mike, because Keep Trade Cut has them 1 pick apart, RB11 and RB12. But I'm actually with you. See, but here's the thing, though. I think that in the current role that we're seeing, that he is like Pollard juiced, like a juiced up Pollard. Just because, not that Pollard doesn't have big playability, but I think DeAndre Swift's more in the passing game. So, like, I would lean Swift. But I think that I think that can be the floor. I think there's a scenario where he's not – I don't want to say, and I don't want anyone to keep thinking this, like, it's probably not wise because you saw what happened, when he got all those touches versus Pittsburgh and the shoulder happens. He will break down when you give him feature workload. But I think there's probably still a scenario, Mike, where he is like the featured back. Like Austin Ekeler, I think, Mike, is still the very reasonable type ceiling for him, where he can get 55, 60% of the snaps, get a lot of the good type volume touches where he's getting good passes, pass catching work, good goal line touches, but you're not burning him out too much. I think that's still in the cards, but I'm with you, man. He's not – we have to stop thinking about him as a like feature bell cow running back. It's just not ever going to happen, and it's never happening, period.
I feel you. On the other side of the ball, Justin Fields, let's be honest, though, was god-awful at actually playing quarterback. He did have 132 yards on the ground, and he made some incredible runs. He's pretty good at that, but actually playing quarterback, he made a lot of stupid mistakes, took a lot of unnecessary sacks. He gets hit fucking hard. Like, for a guy that big, he gets hit like Teddy Bridgewater does when he runs, and that's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. Hopefully he cleans it up. The Bears need to desperately surround this man with some talent. When you throw the ball for 75 yards on the day, 75 yards on the day, and your leading receiver has 27, and it's a tight end. Coke Komet.
Coke Komet, man. Mike, like I'm watching this game, and it's interesting when you watch. To me, this is one of the reasons why, like, I have the red zone on one TV, but I try to watch certain games on actual TVs and watch the whole game. Like, when you watch Justin Fields at the start of this, like, you're like, okay, man, this is the dynamism. Like, he's so good. He can fucking run. He's got 100 yards in a flash. Boom, on the ground. And then you continue to watch this game. Like, he had 132 rushing yards. Like, I want you to really think about this for a second. Everybody watching this. Justin Fields had 10 carries for 132 yards. Like, that's a running back starting in your lineup, you would think. But, Mike, in a league that we have 3 Superflex spots, and I'm in the championship, Justin Fields isn't going to make my lineup.
That's wild, man.
Like, think about that. 7 attempts, 7 completions for 21, 75 yards through the air, and all the, like, bad stuff with turnovers, sacks. It's insane. It's insane, and they need to build around him, and he needs to progress still more. He tries to hold the ball too long, make things happen too much, and they don't have anything around him, man.
So you know how Sleeper does their projections, right? The up to the minute ones. There was a point he was in my lineup and he had 20 points, and I want to say the projected score at the bottom, it gave you that nice green color. It said something like 45 or 50 points, and I'm going, oh yeah, we're on one today, boys. And then it was just all downhill from there.
And then it just ruined it from there.
Just started going the other direction pretty quick.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Chargers and the Rams, man. The battle of LA. Austin Ekeler. This is what I appreciate about Austin Ekeler, because you got these football players, NFL players out there who are like, I don't give a shit about your fantasy team. and rightfully so. There's some people who tweet at him and wish bad things upon him because they lost a fantasy game because of him. But calm the fuck down. But Austin Eckler's like, I do care about your fantasy teams. Ride me into the ship this week, right?
Trust
Ride
me
into the title. Trust me when I tell you I'm playing and I'm healthy. And the man does not lie. He came out there 122 yards, that 72-yard touchdown run that he broke. Holy shit! 2 touchdowns on the ground. He adds another 4 catches and 39 yards through the air. Austin Ekeler, my guy, man. How can you not like this guy? It's one of my favorite players in the entire league.
So, Mike, I was talking a little bit with people in Heisman today, and Ray said they've been talking about this a lot in VC. I don't know if you were in some of these or not, but my thing with him now is okay, this is where with DeAndre Swift. First of all, Mike, I want to just touch on this: 10 carries on the ground, 4 catches through the air. I think that's reasonable for DeAndre Swift, honestly. And that's where I still think the high-end ceiling for him could be Ekeler. But even still, Mike, when you think about what Eckler's valued at, obviously he's older, but we need to take down the value in the high-end upside of what we think of Swift. Mm-hmm. With Ekeler, though, he's 27. I mean, the dude has been a stud. And I don't think at this point you're moving him on contenders. The only question I have left is if there is a window to buy for us, how long do we think he can play at this crazy elite level on low touch volume? Because it's honestly amazing to watch him just rip off run after run. He doesn't get the 20 type touches, but he doesn't need them really. He's just incredibly effective and efficient. So Mike, what do you think? How long do you think he can play like this?
I give him 2 years, man. I'm with Ray on this one. I give him 2 years. The way he takes care of his body, I think he'll give you a good 20, age 28, age 29 season. And then maybe by the time you're 30, it's not elite, but it's still more kind of what you expect from Zeke this year. The second half where you're not an RB1. You can still have some moments, but for the most part, I'm using you as an RB2 or an RB3 type, like a flex play for me.
Yeah.
Just kind of a guy who's going to get touches. Kind of think about Darren Sproles there. Yeah. Not the end of the career Darren Sproles where he's just holding around collecting. Yes, but before that where it was just still holding some value where you want him on your roster. So I give him 2 years of probably close elite, if not, what he is right now type production. And then another year or two maybe after that where he's good, but definitely not elite. So
I'm with you.
He takes care of himself and, he's a highly efficient on low touches kind of running back, which is perfect. You don't have to worry about him getting hurt too much.
I'm with you there, dude. I think now the age thing, what's tough about it is people want to say, well, if he's healthy. I think part of what we have to bake in is if he's healthy as you get older becomes part of the equation. Yes. But if we do say if he's healthy, Mike, I think next year this type of usage and this type of workload, this type of points, still very much in the range of outcomes. I think he still has this in him. Next year. I think 2 years from now is when you maybe start seeing, I don't want to say he's going to be bad, but you maybe see a little bit of a regression. He's not quite as electric, but the way he's utilized, the low amount of touches he gets, the low amount of mileage he has as a whole on his body, because you think all those years with Melvin Gordon, right? I think there's at least 2 more years of him playing like this. And then we'll see, he might be one of these guys that isn't an RB1, but gives you very high efficient touches for 2-3 years after that even. So he's a stud. Mike, what happened in that game was obviously a blowout, right? I mean, It wasn't close. Let me just say though, man, given that, because I had some conversation with people in Discords last week, Mike, about Cam Akers and what the value is on him and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last week, he was in this great positive game script. Yeah, of course. All right, well, you want to ignore the first few weeks before that, that's fine. But, Mike, this is a bad game script for a guy that people say cannot pass block and is not a third down running back. Mike, he gave you a great week in a horrible game script. So, I'm just going to say this. I think that moving forward, I don't know, he's a first is out of the cards for me. If someone's going to send me a first, I'll probably trade him just because of the reality of value. I think I can move that first for more than Akers. I'm not going to say he's worth the first. But early second, if I'm a contender, I think it's really going to depend on what I think of that pick and if I think I can get one of these running backs that replaces him and that he can score right now. I think when Akers has been given the workload, Mike, he shows that he's very good and he can be a running back that matters in fantasy. So I'm kind of curious where you're at now. I know we talked you into starting him a couple times. So where are you at with Akers?
I like what I saw, man. Negative game script still came out there and produced it, showed a little bit in the pass blocking. You would have liked to see him a little bit more involved in the passing game.
Sure.
Now, he did almost have like a 60-yard touchdown that just slipped through his fingers, man. Like
Right.
He was gone. It was a walk-in touchdown if he catches that. So we could be having a very different conversation, right? If he's got 70 yards receiving and a touchdown on 2 catches and 120 yards on the ground, like I'd be talking just as glowingly as I was about Austin Ekeler. Nice game for him. Going to put up decent numbers. I don't know where he ranks at right now as far as running backs.
I'm pulling it up. So
he's not going to crack. He's not going to crack RB1. So.
Oh, okay. Well, in shit auction redux, he's actually at RB12. So maybe that's because of different scoring. All right, what are you looking at? What league?
So I just pulled up ESPN standard PPR scoring. You're looking at
Ekeler,
okay. McCaffrey, Swift, Mostert, ETN, Jamal Williams, McKinnon.
He's 13. He was beat out by Hasty this week, actually.
Jacobs, Hasty, yeah, Algier, Kenneth Walker, and then Cam, and then we still have Najee, JK, Buffalo running backs. I don't know if that's a thing to put them in the top 12 and then mix it, of course. But Adam, I'm kind of with you. If I'm on a contender early second, maybe not. If I'm on a rebuilder, go ahead. I'll re-roll them into something else.
Oh, no question, yeah.
I do think first is out of the question for him. I will say this, though. What kind of intrigues me about him, if you see him looking good in a bad situation right now with the Rams and how bad they are, we know it's going to be worse or just as bad, if not worse, next year. But they did try to trade this man at one point during the season and didn't have any offers. So if he finishes the season strong here, the Rams know that they're out of it. Maybe there's another team who's thinking that they compete and wants to get a running back, comes and tries to get Cam Akers to be their lead back, right? And maybe he gets a situation upgrade. So one that I'm going to kind of keep a pulse on, and I like what I've seen from him, though. He has looked very good these last few weeks.
Well, I think we can put the Achilles thing kind of to rest. Like, he looks explosive and bursty. He's actually had multiple runs where he breaks tackles. Like, think about that. Well, I think what you just said is a very good point I wanted to make, and I keep forgetting. Offensive line's terrible. They have Baker Mayfield, who everyone says is garbage, right? All their pass-catching weapons are gone except for Higbee. They're trying to force the ball to Higbee in the corner, and they know Higbee's the only pass catcher the one time, so they're so far on it, it was almost picked because there's no one else to throw to. Cam Akers, Mike, with that team, like, think about this. The last 5 weeks, RB7, RB23, RB23, RB1, currently RB13. In as bad of a situation as it gets.
You kind of touched on it there for just a quick second, but I do take some gloating, some reveling in the fact that Tyler Higbee fucked me out of a couple championship bids last week, when he knocked me out of the semis in a few leagues. So everybody who was relying on Tyler Higbee was glad to see him go back to earth and do fucking nothing for you. So, even though we said start the guy like idiots, I still like the fact that he did nothing. Fuck him.
Oh, all right. Let me get a couple comments in here before we get out of here. I don't want to act like we're ignoring people. Everybody, we appreciate y'all tapping. And we're trying to get through all the games so we can get back to watching Sunday night here for your championships. Dynasty Barry says he's going to win his home league.
Let's go,
That's
DB.
awesome, buddy. Proud of you, man.
Buddy.
Love hearing that. I want every one of you guys to win unless you're playing me. So, Cody, I'm rooting against all your guys. But outside of that, man, I hope you're winning. Cody says I'm shitting bricks at him. We're in a very tight conversation, or tight game. What did you say, Mike?
I got to slide my big-ass head over. That way you can see that awesome-ass canvas that you made for me, buddy.
You like that thing?
I love that thing, man.
Yeah, that honestly, it turned out better than I thought it looked when I did it on Canva. So I'm glad that that's there. It's set up right. Mike, I still got the Chubb thing getting made, but I had a custom frame put together, and I don't know. It's we'll get it one day. I don't know when it's coming. Also, we got South Harmon glasses coming to people, but I got a big order going, so it's going to take a while. Mike, I don't know if you saw anything in the comments that I need to get to, and if you had any other games, we should probably talk about a few other games before we get up out of here too.
Let's go, man.
All right, what are you thinking?
Let's go to that Chiefs game.
Okay.
Chiefs Broncos. Hey, Russ actually did some shit, man.
Yeah, he did. He did.
He actually did some shit. Apparently, firing Hackett was the key to unlocking Russell Wilson and a long dead tight end for us.
Mike, we only had the 1 week left, so I wasn't going to make new thumbnails today.
I wouldn't make one for that fucking
guy.
Not
thumbnails, holograms. But Albert O, Mike, all you got to do is put him on the field. He's just that athletic. He's making plays. Like I dropped him on like 4 best ball leagues because I'm like, okay, I need to do this because I know my heart doesn't want to do it, but no one's going to trade me for him. So I have to remove this 0. And it kind of hurt watching Alberto do that for us. But that whole offense, man, looked better.
Yeah, man. Let's not take away from the other side though. Jerick fucking McKinnon. I think I called it a few weeks ago. League winner, Jerick McKinnon. Welcome in, man. It is a thing. This is now 2 years in a row that whoever the Kansas City running back is by like week 11, week 12 is going to help you win a fantasy title that year. So you should probably go out next year. Whoever the fuck the running back is by like week 11, week 12, whoever's getting the majority of the work, you go out and you acquire them.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they're going to help you win a fantasy championship. Jerick McKinnon, no different. Juju, man. Why you put up that hologram, man? 2 for 21 did fuck all. Yeah.
I had to put this up for Mike, you know. I actually was telling people to start Juju. That's how much I come around on Juju. And this is why I don't come around on Juju. And this is why I don't believe. Because it's always Fugazi. Like, I've liked him. I have my reasons for not believing in him as like this true alpha. And the way he wins, like it's always versus zone typically, which is fine. But Mike, like he has had this season, I think, in best ball, which will be okay. Like I honestly think this is a guy that in best ball is fine because wide receiver 4, wide receiver 7, wide receiver 15, wide receiver 7, wide receiver 25. But like when you think about lineup leagues, man, like if you played him in week 16 or week 17 in a lineup league, like he is going, like that's going to cost you because he only goes for 2 points, right? That's where Juju, I think in lineup and best ball has become a different animal for me. Kelsey, Mike was good. He's been good all along. There was
he kind of cooled off here towards the second half of the season, right? And I kind of tailed off a little bit. I'm not going to be the guy who says it's because of age or anything like that, but you know, he was a damn near dominating warp darling, and definitely here if you look at the end of the year stats now as a total, not as impressive as it once was. At one point, it was like you move anything and everything to go get Travis Kelce because he's dominating your leagues that hard, and now it's just kind of like, oh, well, he's tight end 1, but I mean, that's about it.
You know, this week what it was is he had a touchdown vultured. I forget, was it 1 or 2 of the other tight ends had touchdowns?
Fucking Blake Bell scored a touchdown.
There we go.
That son of a bitch. The other ones went to Jerick McKinnon, league winner Jerick McKinnon.
And I think Kelce has nothing to do with age, Mike. I just think that as he continued to smash up until like week 10 and 11, teams and if you remember this, Mike, to me it seemed like the Cincy game was the first one where they really keyed on him. And I think that's the NFL is a copycat league, and it seems like you find something that works, and they're going to continue to take away a guy like Kelce and make someone else beat him. So I honestly think it's smart from an NFL standpoint.
Young Joker showed up, did some things.
Yeah, man.
Also fumbled a punt, which wasn't great. But, 4 for 70, I'll take that. I'll take him doing some things, even if it was at the expense a little bit of Juju. If they could just figure out a way to get Juju, Kelce, and Young Joker involved and just make MVS not a thing anymore, that'd be great.
Would love that, right? Yeah, please do that. We would love
that'd be fine moving forward. That would absolutely be fine moving forward. We did have a little bit on Isaiah Pacheco, right? You and I back and forth. You won that one. Congratulations. But Pacheco did get
we had some early touchdown victory lapping, and that's okay because honestly it looked like maybe it was the case. But don't leave the Algier hype train, man.
No. Dude, this guy has been impressive. Tyler Algier, 20 carries, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Again, he had another catch for 12. Not as heavily involved. I mean, it's Desmond Ridder, kind of a shitty running quarterback throwing the football. So
Desmond Ridder is just shitty.
He is.
I don't have a Algier. There's going to be a lot of holograms being made this offseason, Mike. But let me ask you, because like this offense, I think is hopefully going to evolve because like it's this very run heavy scheme, and it's been that way with Mariota and Ridder. You know, we're hoping Pitts is going to come back healthy. Drake London's come along. Like I love what I'm seeing from Algier. And let me ask you, like, what are you doing with him? I think he's pretty much just a hold. I just don't think anyone's going to offer you something worth it.
I mean, you got to get into one of these good-ass running backs in 2023 for me to want to re-roll. Like, you're talking, like, mid-second or better, and I don't want to do it. I'd rather have Tyler Algier. I've seen what he is. He looks good. He does have some athleticism concerns, even though he bragged about how he runs like a 4.140 or whatever the fuck you were saying before the combine that turned out not to be true. But
like a 4.6. Yeah.
He does fine. I mean, I think we kind of got all shied away when he didn't run or athletically test as well as we thought, right? And the same thing kind of happened with Isaiah Spiller. Now, the difference between these two guys is neither one of them got the draft capital that we were thinking. Neither one of them were athletic like we were thinking. But one of them is actually getting on the field, getting touches, and playing well with those touches, and the other one hasn't seen the field. So,
right. Well, they tried to put him out there. Yeah. He had one decent game, Spiller, but he's not been good with his touches, to your point. Yes. And it's in a better offense. Right.
I like Tyler Algier, man. I do. I'm not gonna like hype him up or go over the moon to go buy him or go pay for him. But if somebody's gonna let me have him for something stupid, like I'll take any second for him. No question about it. I'll fuck around and find out whether Tyler Algier will be legit next year or not.
Oh,
because he's looked legit.
You'll take any second for Algier?
No. I mean, like these people are like, I just 23 class is so good. I'll re-roll Tyler Algier for any second. If I'm sitting there with the 210, the 211, the 212. My heart stopped for a second,
man. I'm thinking this is Mike. I'm like, this ain't Mike. No, this ain't the Mike. That ain't me, man. All right, good. What did you think of Drake London today?
Again, force-fed targets. He didn't get to 10 like we were talking about earlier this morning, but he got 8. They're inefficient when they come from Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder. Get this man a quarterback, please. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, I don't give a shit. Put a fucking quarterback in there who can throw the football.
Hey, Cody.
Atlanta could do something crazy and go get Lamar Jackson, and I'd fucking be over the moon if they did that.
Cody, stop trying to victory lap your trade in our South Harmon recap of Sunday because the game ain't over yet. But, yeah, he had Jacobs and Brady all – I mean, fucking Brady went bananas. I mean, Jesus. This is what you hope for.
There. He didn't do shit.
No, but it doesn't matter. Whatever you paid for Brady, I know was light of what he did today. So, yeah, we got Cody and I got a tight one going. I'm with you. I think Algier has earned a lot in this situation. What's nice about that too is that like Cordell Patterson was already kind of a guy that we thought was on his way out, and I think he stayed around longer than people thought this year. But with Algier coming into his own in this mold, like it's pretty clear to me that he's ready to take this thing over as at least the early down work guy, first and second downs. We'll see, but Atlanta has, I think, a rebuild that's going to be coming to pretty nice soon. We just have to hope they get a quarterback, man. I think that's the main thing. I think you're on mute, big guy.
It's out of here.
Oh,
last one we got here.
Go ahead.
All right. Last one we got Vegas, San Francisco. 2 shitty backup quarterbacks battling against each other. But out of what I tell you this morning, I don't give a shit about the Jared Stidham thing. You don't bench Devontae Adams.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I got CMC. Let me put Adams up here too because
that's all right. That's all right. We'll talk about CMC.
You were on it, man. You start with CMC. I'll get you your Adams. I'm not gonna listen.
That's all right. 121 yards, a touchdown on the ground, 6 for 72 in the air. Incredible. And that's especially Brock Purdy didn't play very well for most of that game.
I would say damn near all of it, man. Like this was Brock Purdy's worst game in my opinion by far.
Well, that's because he's a horrible fucking quarterback.
No disagreement. I just think the situation allows him to be better than he is, right?
He looks better than what he actually is. Right?
I would have fully agree with that, yes.
I'm with you on that. Brandon Ayuk, man. Let's stick with the 49ers.
He is him. Dude. So let me say this. I said this in Heisman. I don't know. Sometimes that chat is so busy that I think people like overlook stuff because there's just so much going on. But Mike, the different Mike Lou. Mike Lou was just a year early, man. Like Brandon Ayuk is looking like that dude. Straight up. Like Ayuk looks so unbelievably good running routes. And we talked about how like going from Jimmy G to Trey Lance might help unleash Ayuk, right? He never even got the Trey Lance thing. He was much better with Jimmy G. And now he's got Purdy. Like, Mike, there was a point down the stretch where the game was tight, where Purdy was just lasering in on Brandon Ayuk. That's a long way coming for him.
He had at least 2 or 3 consecutive slant routes where he went right to him, and then he had that one at the the end of the game where they tried to kick that game-winning field goal that they ended up missing. But remember, Purdy's rolling out to his left, gets hit, the ball's fluttering in there, and who's the man to go up and just rip it away from the defender and save it? Save the opportunity to try to kick the game-winning field goals. Brandon pretty impressive, man. And he's fantastic after the catch too. I mean, we kind of touched on that in the offseason when we did our Brandon Ayuk video about him.
Right.
Just the fact that, he's not Debo after the catch, but he's pretty damn close.
Because almost nobody's Debo. Like, Debo's truly a running back with the football. But Ayuk, as far as like compared to a regular wide receiver, the average wide receiver is absolutely a yak monster.
He's good.
Mike, I mean, he's going to crack. He's going to be inside the top 20 at wide receiver this year, Mike. And I want you to just think for a second, everybody, because I still don't think the hype has really hit the crescendo of where it should be. Mike, he has had a second string and a third string quarterback for the majority of this year, and he's going to be inside the top 20. Like, I think there's a chance where even still Brandon Ayuk's undervalued in a lot of leagues. So
he is. I updated my rankings a couple weeks ago. They still need updating because as I'm looking at him now,
there he is, right? Brian says
had him at wide receiver 17, Adam. And looking at a couple of guys I had before him, I can move Brandon Ayuk. Might be top 15 Dynasty wide receiver by the time I'm all said and done.
I think 15-ish is appropriate. Like, so where you have him there probably could depend on your preference or whatever, but I think that's very much appropriate. Mike, let's go ahead, man. I don't want to, I'm not going to act like you didn't say it. What do we got going on here? We got Davante Adams in a tiny little screen.
Poor Davante, man. Can't even get respect on the hologram.
That was me. That was me this morning, right? It's like, hey, man, why are you trying to box me in this little ass screen? Let me try this again.
Trying to pound me.
I see what's going on here. He's like, let me see this. There you go. There's the full version. All right. There you go, Mike.
Talk about 17, man. That's why I rank Ayuk. This is a guy who wears 17. Fantastic. Didn't matter. Jarrett Stidham, Derek Carr, Davante Adams doesn't give a shit. Doesn't matter he wasn't with Aaron Rodgers, right? All he does is come to the Raiders franchise, set their single season record for most receiving yards. He doesn't give a shit at all. Just throw him the football. That's all he wants. 7 for 153, 2 touchdowns, two absolutely insane grabs that he had, right? The touchdown down there where he drags the toe, like you almost think it's incomplete, and then you see the replay and you go, that son of a bitch really got that toe down. He drugged that. And then that one to put him in position to score the game-tying touchdown there with like a minute to go. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic where he fought back through. So Davante Adams, pretty good at football. Doesn't matter who his quarterback is. He's been there. He's done it before with shittier quarterbacks in his career. He's good. Don't doubt this, man.
What do you think moving forward? He's going to be 31, right?
He will be 31. I will give him, I said it with like Stephon Diggs or with Tyreek Hill. I'll give them 2 years. I'll give Davante Adams another 1 year of elite production.
So let me ask you this, all right? Because I think this is the thing with Adams and like a lot of players, right? So like for me, Travis Kelce, I personally think like Kelce, for what he's going to mean to your team, he's just not worth selling. Like I just let him. He'll die.
Same guy right here.
So that's my question. If you're in that scenario, like what would you need to move off of Adams? Because I think maybe you could get there with him because he's a receiver and the pay will come back. But like, what would that actually need to be before you moved him?
So if I'm on a contender this year, Adam, and I have quite a few of them that have Davante Adams, and whether they win a championship or not, I'll be evaluating whether I want to try to be a contender next year. To get me off of Davante Adams right now, give me a first. I don't give a shit where it is. And a second. And as long as a second isn't super late, I think I would move off of Adams.
I'm with you.
If I want to run it back, though, like if I want to run it back, it's
first.
Like, bro, if I want to build a contender, sometime over the summer when the rookie fever's at its all-time high and people are like, man, Davante Adams, he's on the older side, before the redrafters get in the building, I will hands down pay a first and a second on a contender to go get Davante Adams. Easily.
Right.
Easily.
No, I'm with you there. I honestly think though that if I'm like a old crusty contender that's going to take a ton of rebuild, I'd probably just hold Adams, unless you give me like 2 firsts. But I think in most other scenarios, I'll take the first and the second. And the reason I say that, Mike, is because I think I can do a lot with that in the summer. Where I think with Adams. Like Adams, basically, if you have him on a contender, he goes in your pockets and he's not moving until the season starts. Like it's just the way it goes in Dynasty. So I think he's one of these guys though that you might be able to get someone to pay right now before the rookie fever hits, like off the back of this game. Like if your trade deadline is off and you can move him in the next week or two, you might be able to get like, you know, a reasonable first and a mid-second or early second. That I think you might be worth entertaining for. Other than that, I'm just going to hold.
I love Devontae. I think he gives elite production. He's a very good wide receiver, but you do need to acknowledge the age. And
Right.
Adam, right now, I don't care if I thought I was going to be a contender in 23. Somebody gives me 2 firsts for him. I would ship him.
Oh, he's way gone in 2 firsts. I'm agree.
Yep.
All right. Josh Jacobs. Let's talk about. It wasn't the best game, but I'll say this, Mike. Given the situation, right? Like,
yep.
It wasn't that bad, honestly.
He did all right, man. He also did some work through the receiving game, right? We saw it last year. People kind of thought it was a fluke. He's done it a few times this. You're thinking with Jared Stidham, though, he's not going to do anything through the air. 4 for 26. 5 targets. Did all right for himself, and then on the ground, 69 yards and a touchdown. The offense in Vegas did not look like the problem this week. Did not. And what people are going to do is, and I already saw it in the chat a few times, you know, Stidham's better than Carr, or Stidham's equal to Carr, or so long Carr. Stop, man. Stop.
I was gassing that up in the Heisman, Mike. I said Carr to the curb, just messing around, like getting people all upset.
I get it.
Yep.
I get it. People are going to do it, though. You just saw what happened, though, when you do it too much. How did Mike White look this week?
Oof. There's a reason we don't have a Mike White hologram, Mike. And there's a reason that Mike White is on Eric's shirt, and that's the only place, because he's about to be out of a job.
There's a reason Jets aren't making the playoffs, and his name's Mike White.
You know what, Mike? I think I lied. I think I did do a Mike White. Yeah, let's go. Oh, just for you, buddy. Just for you, I did one. Oh, look at that. Look at that.
I was hoping it was going to be a giant poop emoji or something.
Well, that's kind of what that looks like, isn't it?
It was horrible, man. But yeah, don't get carried away with the Jared Stidham. I mean, he had some moments. So did Brock Purdy. Had some moments.
Let me say this, though.
Backup quarterbacks, man. It usually doesn't work out. It's a bad fucking bet. Stop making them.
It's a very bad bet. So let me just say that. I will say, though, Mike, Jared Stidham, now that's the first time we really actually got to see him. Because remember, Cam Newton came over and killed the whole Jared Stidham experience that might happen in New England?
Yes.
Mike, Jared Stidham made throws today that I know Mike White and Brock Purdy don't have.
Yes.
I'll acknowledge that. I'll still say I'm with you, though. This is a bad bet, and he's probably a shitty quarterback. But there were some throws today that were different than a lot of players make. That throw to him in the end zone, I don't know if that's luck or a great throw, because it looked like the perfect throw. It's him in the corner, the one Adams got. I mean, he made some impressive throws. He also gave the game away when it was at its biggest. So,
and multiple times.
But I mean, he literally threw the pick that cost the team the game.
Yes.
They took that pick and they literally said, Brock Purdy, we're not going to let you mess this up. We just want you to take a kneel a little closer in the center, and we're going to kick this field goal. And they got out of here. So,
just the word of caution: don't get carried away with these backup quarterbacks. It usually doesn't work out, man. Everybody thinks they're going to find the next Dak Prescott. They're going to find the next Russ. They're going to find the next Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very select few, man. There's far more of these fucking turds floating around than people want to, like the whole, the Miami Dolphins will be fine without Tua. Yeah, that didn't work out so well. Or my Eagles. You guys will be fine without Jalen Hurts. Minshew mania, baby. No, there's a reason they're backups. There's a reason that they struggle to find jobs, starting jobs. It's because they're not good.
Yeah. Last question here, this isn't a question, but I'm going to make it one. Castle Black talks about Mike White pooped on Garrett Wilson today. There's really no debate. He was horrible. The whole offense was bad. So, Mike, let me ask everyone here while you're live. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, where you at?
Man, I think I'm still going to go with Chris Olave.
Okay. All right. Now, is that you on your bullshit, or is that you just trying to...
No, that's me being real. I mean, Garrett Wilson is nice. He's had some really good moments.
Okay.
Adam, I can't lie to you, though, that situation in New York and what they do with the quarterbacks, right? They're kind of in a purgatory right now on what they're going to do. Either they go back to Zach Wilson and they try to fix that confidence, which hasn't been good for Garrett Wilson, so you got to hope they come up with a connection, or they try to move on, and I don't know what they find, right? Maybe they can make a play for a Lamar, but It's going to be tough, man. This could be tough to find a quarterback to make Garrett Wilson solid. The Saints, on the other hand, like we've seen Chris Olave do well with whoever the fuck they're throwing out there. With Andy Dalton, if they stick with Jameis, if they move on and go somewhere else. Like, I don't know. Just that system down in New Orleans, playing in a dome. It's not New York. You don't have to worry about a lot of bad weather games. A little bit better situation. I don't think it's a question, though. These are the top two receivers. I saw somebody try to talk up Drake London as wide receiver one. Everything I'm like dunking on Garrett Wilson about, it's even worse for Drake London. It's fucking horrible. So, no.
All right. So the chat's leaning. The chat is in favor of Wilson, but it's split still. Right. Oh no, Dynasty Alex makes it a tie. All right. So, but here, let me say this. I think the reality is, the Saints are without their pick next year, right?
Yes. Next 2 years.
All right. I think the Saints are in a worse position to fix the quarterback position for sure. Like, to me, at least, I personally believe that. I will say this. I think that the Jets, like, yeah, of course, if they go get Lamar, sure, that's a home run slam dunk. Mm-hmm. But, like I don't know that I just think it's unlikely that a big play like that happens. But what I do think, Mike, is that they could land, a Derek Carr. I think they could land a Jimmy G. And I think someone that's more consistent at throwing the football, albeit not a stud at quarterback, is better for Garrett Wilson. I think they're in a better position to give Garrett Wilson long-term success, given the fact that their defense is good. They're coming around. I think the Saints are just on the complete opposite end of a rebuild that won't even go wrong because they won't let it happen yet. And I don't know, maybe he'll get moved or whatever. I think they're both great. Like, I think they're the wide receiver 1 and 2 in this class. I just personally want Garrett Wilson because I think he's in a situation that's going to thrive quicker.
Another reason I just kind of say Olave is the kind of receiver where quarterback play matters for every receiver. But on like elite route runners and guys who make elite separation in the route, not like the Jamar Chase or the more type like contested catches type separators, the late round. If you do it early, it gives that quarterback a massive like, holy shit, this guy's got like 3 steps on this dude. And even for shitty quarterbacks, it's easier to make those throws. Like, I think that's why Olave hasn't struggled as much, even though Andy Dalton's fucking horrible at football too. Like, he's really bad. He hasn't struggled as much.
I'm going to give him pushback though, because like, you remember how great he was with Joe Flacco?
Yeah.
Like, Garrett Wilson was tearing it up with Joe Flacco. I think Zach Wilson, although he's talented, has been like, I don't think anyone would disagree. He's been tremendously inept as far as leading an offense for so far. I think he's still the most talented quarterback the Jets have, and I think that if he can land on his feet somewhere, he still could be decent. But I think that's killed Garrett Wilson. I'm with you though. Like, Olave is probably a better separator early. Like, his route running, I think Garrett Wilson has tremendous route running, but Chris Olave's finesse at route running is unreal.
All right, I said we did have one question in here. This is a good one to go out, and we'll do it quickly. We'll touch more on the AMA. Olave, Wilson, Drake London. Are there any 23 wide receivers that you would take before him right now?
I'm trying to put it on the screen, but it's all right. Okay, so we got what's the question? Olave, Wilson, Drake London.
Yeah, I'll throw Drake London in there too because he isn't that far off. Or 23 receivers, any of them. Would you put any of them in there right now?
Where are you at with Quentin Johnson?
I like him. He had a fantastic game yesterday.
That's where I'm more and more up on Quentin Johnson, but I'm not going to put him ahead of these 3.
The problem is I have no idea where they're going, who's drafting them, what the quarterback is throwing them the football. So if you ask me right now, I can't put Olave, Wilson, Drake London above any 23 wide receiver just because I don't know.
Okay, now let me ask you this, because I know Drake London is a great prospect. He's been showing out lately, better than before. But I think there's people, I think they're going to be wrong, but I think there's people that are going to really be beating the drum on Christian Watson. And what say you there?
No.
Okay. Is he? But is he
like
4?
Watson.
Is he 4 in the class, or do you still want Pickens and Treylon ahead of him?
I still want Pickens and Treylon ahead of him. I like Watson. This isn't a slight against him. I like what I've seen from him, but I don't like him that much to be that crazy. You know what I mean?
I'm 100% with you. Barry says yes, and as prospects, yes, in my opinion. I'm not sure exactly what that comments in regards to, Barry. We love you, but
Dynasty Alex asks, is Wilson and Olave above the 23 receivers? So Barry's saying
yes, definitely.
Yes.
You want them better as prospects and as current Dynasty players.
I will say there's an opportunity, though. Like, we don't know where these wide receivers in 23 are going to land, and it would only take one of them ending up in some place like LA with the Chargers and Justin Herbert for me to go like, if the Jets never fix their quarterback situation or the Falcons don't do what you want, I think you're going to look at a JSN or an Addison or a Quentin Johnston with Justin Herbert as the number one, number two, as Keenan Allen kind of gets phased out.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
So
sign me up for being excited about that.
You definitely will get excited. Let me say this. If it's Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, or JSN, as long as the combine goes well and the draft capital goes well to the right position, those three, I understand the excitement and you can probably go arrow up. What I think that needs to be talked about before we bounce out here, because we're doing this now, is like Sky Moore needs to be a lesson for people. Do not chase the great landing spot for the receiver that's really a tier 2, tier 3 guy. And I want to stress that because, like, I think Sky Moore's a perfect example, man. Like, Patrick Mahomes, we saw it. Jerick McKinnon, whoever he decides to feature is going to be great. But
that is more like saying, though, like what we got right now, Adam, is we got 4 receivers with Boutte coming back to the class.
Correct.
Right, coming back in. You got 4 guys. You got Quentin Johnston, Boutte, JSN, and Addison, right? And I think in everybody's mind, these guys are first-round wide receivers, first-round rookie picks. The Sky Moore thing is more like if we were talking right now about, like, Josh Downs going to an elite landing spot and then people getting way too overhyped. Like, he's not in this conversation
that's what I'm saying.
Right now, and people elevated him. So with these other 4, like, as of right now, though, like, you're not going to do the Sky Moore chasing situation on a landing spot because they're already in this conversation. It'd be more like Zay Flowers, right? I kind of like Zay Flowers, but I'm not going to go crazy if he ends up going to an elite landing spot.
Nicholas, for me, no. But at the same time, like, the prospect coming in was arguably for some the best. So if you wanted to put him in the same tier, that's fine. I think that what Wilson and Olave have done as rookies should put them slightly ahead of London. But, like, I would say if you don't have London in the same tier as them, which I don't, I think he's a next tier by himself, and then there's another gap. So I think these 3 are ahead of the rest for sure, no matter how you want to cut it.
I fully agree with that. That's a good way to call it quits tonight. Is it's Wilson and Olave, however we want to fight. I think there's a tier break. I think it's London, but then I also think it's a tier break, and then we can have the debates on Burks and Pickens and Watson and Jahan Dotson if you want to throw his ass in there as well. J-Mo, we haven't seen fuck all from. So
J-Mo's just a name at this point, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have a pretty good conversation about him at some point, man.
I'm 1,000% with you. I think that's all we got, Mike. So everybody, we appreciate you tapping in. Hopefully you are going to win in your fantasy league unless you're playing myself or Mike.
Hell yeah.
Outside of that, so, these weekly recaps, they're coming to a close. There's no more weekly recaps for fantasy to discuss, but South Harmon is not going away. We're going to be coming back with more content all off season. Everybody, every one of you guys that has subscribed and tunes in, you've helped us grow. We're going to keep growing, so we're going to keep doing new content. We got to figure out what we're going to do this off season. But stay tapped in because we're bringing in more good heat just like this today.
100%. We got a lot of good stuff coming up, especially around draft time. We'll be doing some things. We'll kind of see how that shakes out. But in the meantime, Tuesday AMA is going to continue as always. So come tap in Tuesday. Man, I can't wait till Sleeper puts them rookies in and we get to do the bring back the Tuesday night AMA mock drafts.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man.
Let's go.
We're going to have a lot of fun with the whole offseason, but we appreciate everyone tapping in, and we are out of this thing. Peace.
Peace.